Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Terminus and today we're gonna check out Spice and Wolf episode 19, which should technically be the arc finale, I would say. I mean, at least if my calculations are correct. What happened last time? Well, very quick. We were in a bit of trouble last time. We kind of struck a deal with Bartos and Diana to actually get the pyrite, but it's not here yet. They actually will want to contact us after having negotiated with the other party that also was here. So Lawrence thinks that's Amadi. We don't know it though. Also, Amadi just brought like a large pack of gold coins to Lawrence and paid it to him with all of like the exchange fees and whatnot. So I do assume that Lawrence is probably even more like, oh shit, he actually bought the pyrite. Like he's got everything, like he got things moving and whatnot. But yeah, we're a little bit in trouble. Holo's hanging out with Amadi, so we're not sure how she is doing and what she's on, because we actually haven't seen her directly, right? She's been always kind of leaning away from us and whatnot. So we have a good friend in our, well, I forgot the name of the trader actually. Let me look that up for just a second. Oh yeah, Mark, right? Mark is his name. That was quick. Mark was the name of his buddy, who's actually a real friend, right? He just wants to help him out, and he's kind of almost risking his neck. Not completely safe enough, but he's risking his neck to get him actually what he wants. And we have collected like, I think 300 something coins worth of pyrite on this front, and then maybe we have a bunch of other on the front of the alchemists, possibly, but we're still waiting for the news. So the tension is rising and the market just opened. Let's get into this episode. Spice and Wolf episode 19 starts in a 3, a 2, a 1 with a beautiful shot. Sorry, false start. With a beautiful shot of the city, which I absolutely love, with the landscape and all of the fields around and the river going through, right? Like the hallmark of most towns out there, which is like just a river in the middle. 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh. We have to cut a cover on the side. Does that mean no intro? Yeah. We can only hope that she actually comes through. He will have lost. Yeah. Yeah. It all depends on how much Amadi wants to make. Yeah. Oh yeah. No episode. No intro. $800. Wow. He's doing his math. The poison from the sale on credits. He's sweating for real. Just keeps going. I mean, I can't read that, but you know. The sky. He will lose something very more valuable. Some stuff. Very time sensitive, right? All of these regrets come pushing back in. He seems troubled too. Oh, yeah. It equals out, but the person who just sold made a lot of money. He's so jumpy. All of these people are coming late to the game. This is gonna be difficult. Oof. Careful, Lunt. That's the danger, right? Something of fluctuating value. And he's teaching him that to him, right? He's gonna know when he grows up. Top-down shot is really cool. And he's kind of distracted by Hollow not being there. It's insane because he's making a huge profit either way. Lawrence. It just keeps rising, I guess. Maybe you were a little bit too impatient, dude. Is he selling or is he gonna keep them? What is he doing? And another buyer. He's just fueling the fires, right? Because he sold a little bit something and the people are... This is good for you. Ooh, interesting appearance. And his plan falls through. He's out of it. Yeah, remember who you are. Mm, yeah, reality is different. Not only in yourself. Which one? I know which one he believes in. That's for sure. Too much into his own head. And everybody's been selling. Which words? She's still a little bit peeved with him. I get it. Love that shot. I think that's the point. Mm-hmm. They weren't the previous feathers. Like, this idiot. It wasn't. Mm, yeah. Hand on the table. Acknowledging his flaws. Don't know if that's enough. Alright, this is very interesting. Yours too? Right. Also forcing her hand, kind of. Found that very amusing. And that's why the gaze went up to the rafters. Oh, I love that shot. That's gotta be very embarrassing for him. She's a handful. Mm. Ooh. I guess the monk's love wasn't genuine. Hmm. I mean, the region is still there, right? I do. I wonder what the symbolism means, right? Of like burning the statues and whatnot. Maybe that. Be careful though, you burn too hot. Of course, they went for a very, very high def shot. And we repeat that from like the early one of the early episodes. One log is burning, the other isn't. Oh, that's a really cool picture. Of course, and we ended on like a beautiful water surfer shot. A nice ending. I wonder if next arc we're actually gonna get... No, we're not gonna get a new one, right? Because it's not second time. Church Girl and Miller Boy. I guess we know who that is from the OP, kind of. Yeah, that was episode 19. What am I supposed to say to this? Right, we have the culmination of the entire arc with some really, really nice shots. Obviously, there's still some contention on the way it is directed. I think some of the shots are really cool, and others maybe leave things to be desired. The story is still very competently told, I think. We have some really nice musical scores being involved as well. I really think that the music did a really great job in this new remake to make the tense moments tense, the emotional moments emotional. You do definitely see the limited budget of the show, but I think it is putting itself above shows of its caliber. I don't know if it's better than the old one. I do wonder, right? I've only seen that one episode of episode where we did with episode 13. If you haven't seen that yet, go check that out. I actually reacted to the OVA, and then I had a very long session of reading light novel excerpts on my episode 13 review. So go check that out. I really liked that episode personally as well. Unfortunately, not a lot of people have seen it. Either way, everything gets resolved, right? And we realize that what we've been lacking so far hasn't been resolve or manliness or courage or merchant skill or whatever, right? But perspective and trust, I think. Lawrence was so much into his own head, so much into this argument that they had, that he took in completely differently. First of all, very catastrophic, right? His interpretation of that was very much that she could very well leave him. And then later on, a little bit more of the interpretation that we took at some of the reviews that we had after the episodes, where we were like, this is a challenge thrown down from Holo to see how much he's willing to, right, how far he's willing to go. But as we find out in this episode, when she tells Diana actually saying it, she actually doesn't even like that, right? But Diana found it amusing, found it interesting, maybe also because of her history and the monk, right? She's falling in love with the monk and then building a church with him, and he gets suspicious because she never ages, and then they have a falling out over some, right? And for her, I think the idea is to give Holo the security that Lawrence is not that kind of person, right? That he's actually going far beyond that he's trustworthy, that he's reliable, and that he's actually making things happen. But Holo doesn't need that. She's pretty sure that that's the case. The only thing she's convinced of is that he's a fucking fool. And yes, he is. And he's a dunce, and he's dense, he's dumb. Not really dumb, he's very clever, but maybe not with everything, right? Clever with mercantile things, clever with trade, clever as a logical human being, but not that great when it comes to human, actual emotional involvement. And it makes sense, right? He's been a traveling merchant, he's been going here and there and whatnot, he's been making business deals with people, having built business relationships, superficial, surface level stuff. This was the first time that he really realized one of the people he's gotten to know over the years and maybe met every once in a while were his actual true friend in Mark. And this is the first time he probably has fallen in love as well. So this is all very new to him. And obviously we should have seen the signs, right? The feathers are different. Right, before that, even in the intro, we do see the feathers are brown, and here they are white, so she's clearly showing that. And we do have that typical, banter, well, it's in this case it's not the usual verbal banter. It's just like the physical back and forth, right? I think that's very cute. I think they did that very well. I do wonder if we had that in, it's been too long, in the old Spice and Wolf. But if this is an original, it's a great addition because, right? And he catches the hand and it stays. And she just moves in. And at that point in time, it's pretty clear to Amadi that he's been had, right? And all the sellers sell, all of them rush, and he is at his knees. Lesson well learned, my friend, and even with not that much of a financial loss, so enough to recover and for him to be like, you know what? Ouch, right? I'll have to get over that because she's been his crush, but maybe he's gotten in too much into his head as well, Amadi. With his knightliness and his morals and his grandstanding, right? Thinking he can be so gracious as to release somebody from their plight. And eliminate the injustices that were done upon Holo, supposedly. Right? At least he knew this, right? That's the story they've been telling, so at the very least he's not just assuming or projecting that, he actually thinks that's it, right? Because of a contract they're together, but he's assuming so much, right? He's assuming that she doesn't want to be here. She's assuming that she has a bad time, right? And that she feels so throttled by that. All of these things that he assumes out of his own desire, right, for it to be true, because then he could be the shining hero, he could be the one who saves her, and then she's thankful, and right, it's gonna go his way. Had planned to break things off in a much harsher manner. I cannot forgive his words. I do wonder what those were. We're gonna maybe have to read and see if these were actually in the novel. Right. But she's still peeved, right? She's still peeved about him not trusting her. Because that's the thing, right? Yes, she was angry and she was like desperate with like the Yojutsu thing. That was a real thing that happened. But the apology, she left. She should have known that he would misinterpret that, right? But I guess she actually assumed that he would trust their bond enough to realize that, yeah, something like that can break them apart, right? Especially with what she said earlier, we mentioned that right here, that a fight she feels is sometimes healthier, and then just reconciliating. Although I think that she didn't take into account Lawrence's inexperiencedness when it comes to especially romantic things, but also his self-doubt, right? So self-doubt when it comes to anything other than being a merchant. Because he's not that, right? And self-doubt comes in a way from that inexperience, right? Because he doesn't know his worth. Somebody who's very much humble in many ways. And even though he's very proud and does very well know that he's a really good trader, everything else, not so much. Then we talk it through. I love that shot, right? With them kind of close together in the left frame, and it's like she's really invading his personal space, and kind of pressuring him on a point, and then we see the tail. It's kind of, I don't know, it's very satisfying on a visual level to see like the combination of them both sitting here and then the tail going out like this. She's really angry with him that he would assume she would drop him for Amadi. You don't need me to explain what happened. The episode explained it, right? But he needs to explain it to her, because first of all, the audience needs to know, and second of all, she wants to hear that he actually got it. You ruined all of my efforts. You were so obsessed with the contract you signed with that youngster. You yourself are kind of guilty of that partially. Not only did you have the argument and did things in a way and assumed, right? But also, Holo, let me tell you, in the beginning you said you would have liked if Lawrence was a little bit more like macho sometimes, right? So don't come here and be like, this is all your fault. You ruined it. I mean, you're right, but you're kind of partially responsible for that as well. Leave that we formed a bond that was far from shallow. And we talk about it again. Obviously, she's playing it up a little bit, but the question is real, right? She's like, is what I thought correct or is it not? Because that kind of puts it into doubt. But he puts it into words. He's like, I want to continue traveling. And we do have a really nice moment between the two of them. I actually do have a... It's like the third wasp that we have in here. What the fuck? Feels like there's a nest somewhere. I don't know. Wouldn't be great. Matt, he's so stupid when it comes to everything else. And yeah, it sounds like an excuse, and her kind of... her view on that is kind of like, oh, come on, don't use that, right? As an excuse for everything that's, right? Because I'm angry with you. Don't make me not angry with you, right? But, yeah. She asks the question directly. And he's giving a little bit of a corny line and almost a cop-out, but it's still a very sweet moment. Love the framing on that. They really nailed these shots in the specific, very, very important moments. She's biting him. She's gonna mark her territory here. Yeah, and we have the last part of her talk. It's like, I didn't think you'd utilize that. Yeah, she didn't think he'd actually be able to do that, so he surprised her, and as such the plans were kind of mixed up, and then Deanna was like, I can, right? It's gonna annoy them and it's gonna be funny, but also, and it's gonna help them. Very, very nice moment here, and I do believe that something similar was like in the original anime as well. I didn't like that frame earlier, where it's like she seems a little bit too small here, and he's not drawn all that great. But yeah, that is a beautiful frame. Like the shot, amazing. How they use that. Like, and our focus is almost like we're leaning over the balustrade, right? Looking down. But it's out of focus. Our focus is like on the very romantic aspect of that. And we, like, she's leaning in and she's like talking about that, the questions he asked, and he's like very embarrassed about it, obviously. And at this point we reconciliated, right? We talked it all through almost. We were at the last streaks of that, so she thinks she can go teasing, which she can, right? Because that's how it works. We're back on like level ground with that, on neutrality. And we start back with just, yeah, I mean, all of the bad feelings out, all of the good feelings in. That was almost a Monogatari moment here. Again, nailed that one as well. And we talk a little bit about who Diana was, and we have like the light coming in with the bird sitting at the perch. Great shot with from the window down onto her, full in the light. And then the bird being like very, very colorful as well, which is also kind of a great representation. And then we lighted ablaze the passion, the fire as well. We have like Mark with his wife being there, joining the celebrations. Lunch too. And he's confident again, right? And we're back to, well, not back to, we developed. We are now in that really great state. And on that beautiful shot of like the festivities and the fires burning, and kind of like the contrast of the blue to the red is really, really great. Fire to water is a great contrast in general. But yeah. Great stuff. I don't know if I'll include that in the reaction. I guess I'll include it in the reaction, but we're also gonna put this at the front of the review that I'm gonna do of the entire arc. Yeah. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll put that at like in the middle portion, and we'll talk about other stuff in between, kind of. I'll have to figure that out. It's probably gonna be like at least half a week or more until I do that anyway, so. Anyway, that was Spice and Wolf episode 19, the finale of this arc. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a like and all that. I think you already subscribed, probably, if you're watching this on Patreon. If you're watching this on YouTube, would like a subscription, would be cool. Check out all the socials, and other than that, see you next time.